Hello and welcome. My name is Beverly Popek, and I'm with the Office of Labor Standards Enforcement. Today, we are going to go through the minimum compensation and healthcare accountability ordinances for SFO retail and food concessionaires. This information is effective July 1st of 2021. So first, let's start off with the minimum compensation ordinance, also known as the MCO. Covered employers are companies who have 5 employees or more anywhere in the world. And they also have some sort of city contract. So at the airport, your lease is a contract. If you have subtenants, they need to comply with the MCO. Now that we understand who is a covered employer, let's take a look at who's a covered employee or worker. So anyone who's working for a covered employer at SFO is a covered employee. So anyone working at SFO at your property. It doesn't matter if they're full-time, part-time, contract, or casual. There aren't any minimum hours to be met. They are just covered under the minimum compensation ordinance. The MCO has 2 main components, wages and paid time off. And when we talk about wages, the MCO is not the San Francisco minimum wage. That's a completely different law, and the San Francisco minimum wage is not applicable at the San Francisco International Airport. So let's dig into the wage rate. The minimum hourly compensation rate for for-profit companies is $18.55 per hour. The annual increases occur every July 1st, and we usually know the for-profit rate in March. Once we have this information, we will publish this information on our MCO webpage. PTO and UTO requirements. Paid time off and unpaid time off are required under the MCO. So for PTO, the accrual rate that is required at bare minimum is 0.04615 hours of paid time off per hour worked. That's about 12 days for someone who works 40 hours a week. Now, PTO is a property of the worker, and it needs to be paid out upon termination. There's also no waiting period. So from day one, an employee is accruing and has that perhaps the ability to use PTO. PTO violations are the most common violations of the MCO. So if you have questions on how to administer this, and if you have a vacation and sick leave system and you're not sure if it's in compliance with these PTO requirements, don't hesitate to contact us. Now moving on to the unpaid time off requirement, UTO. The accrual rate is 0.03846 per hour worked, and that's about 10 days for a full-time worker. It's not applicable for temporary or on-call employees, and the unpaid time off benefit is specifically for sick leave for the worker or the worker's loved ones. So that is pretty specific. You can get some more information about how to calculate all of this and other scenarios in our MCO rules and regulations at the link at the very bottom of the page. Now that we understand the minimum compensation ordinance, let's move over to the healthcare accountability ordinance. Covered employers have 20 workers anywhere in the world, and they have some sort of city contract, which is your SFO lease. Covered employees are people who work at least 20 hours a week on the SFO property for you. So keep in mind with this 20-hour threshold that if the work hours fluctuate from week to week, the workers are covered if the average number of hours per week during the applicable month is 20 hours or more. We also have a little YouTube video, and this is the link at the very bottom of the page. It's less than 3 minutes that go through all of the different options of the HCAO. So let's talk about your options. At the San Francisco International Airport, you have 2 options available. Please note that the HCAO has 3 options, but you have 2 options because of where your work is performed at the airport. Now, you as the employer get to choose which option or options you'd like to comply with. You can actually comply using both options. So the first option is to offer each covered employee a compliant health plan at no charge to the employee, no later than the first of the month after 30 days. So let's unpack this a little. A compliant health plan is a health plan that meets all of the HCAO minimum standards. So if you take a look at the second bullet point, that link will guide you to the document that gives you information about what constitutes a compliant health plan and what the HCAO minimum standards are. If you are unsure, and even if you think you're sure your health plan meets the compliance requirements, please send your health plan information to Patrick Chang at the Department of Public Health to review your health plan. He will review it and give you specific information regarding your health plan if it does not meet the requirements. And if it is compliant, he will put that in writing and you will save this information for compliance purposes. So that's his contact information on the third bullet point. He's also available to answer any specific insurance-like questions about the HCAO minimum standards. Getting back to that first bullet point, something that we always point out is that it has to be, the health plan has to be at no charge to the employee. That's one of the minimum standards, but we point that out because a lot of times companies do offer health insurance, but it doesn't meet the minimum standards. And one of the biggest standards that doesn't meet is that it may not be at no charge to the employee. In terms of eligibility, this particular health plan has to be up and available to use no later than the first of the month after 30 days from when an employee starts. Now let's take a look at our second option. The second option is paying a fee to be in compliance. The fee rate is currently $5.85 per hour. It's paid to San Francisco General Hospital and it's capped at $234 per week. The rate is adjusted every July 1st. And as I mentioned, the money goes to San Francisco General Hospital. What is not really known, and I want to tell you this, is that it is not a benefit or money for workers. This is not a program called Healthy San Francisco. This is just payments you make to be in compliance with this law. Payment forms can be found on our website under the employers section. Now, we've gone through the two options that's available at the San Francisco International Airport. As I mentioned previously, you can have both of these options. You can comply by doing both of these options at a single time. So for example, maybe if you would like to offer a compliant health plan, but you don't have time to shop and find something right away, which you shouldn't rush, you can comply with this law because you need to be in compliance with this law by paying the fee, maybe for the first or second month that you're at SFO. That will give you time to find a compliant health plan to offer to people. It's also quite possible that you can offer the compliant health plan to employees working over a certain amount of hours, perhaps over 30 hours, and then for other employees you pay the fee. You can have a hybrid system of compliance, but whatever it is, make sure it is consistent. And if you have any questions, you can always contact us and we'll be able to assist you in figuring this out. Some other compliance requirements for the minimum compensation and healthcare accountability ordinance. We have posters and forms for each of these laws. So you need to have the current posters up on the wall or perhaps in a binder that employees can read and review at any time. There's also Know Your Rights forms. You must have all employees read and sign forms on an annual basis. You should also cycle this into your onboarding. So when you have new employees, they're able to read and sign from the very beginning. Collective bargaining agreements. If your company has a collective bargaining agreement, you still need to comply with the MCO and HCO. Now, if there is a waiver in the CBA for MCO and or HCO, then you may not have to comply with one of those laws. So best thing to do is to review the CBA, and you can always contact us for guidance. Here is a list of other resources that are available to you. We have quite a lot of information on our website, webinars, documents, posters, forms, and this is just a list of the various places you can find such information. The very last bullet point at the bottom is a link to the MCO and HCO packet for SFO concessionaires. This is a great package of information that has everything you are looking for, such as number one, an outline of how to comply with the different laws, the two different laws, and then what precedes would be all of the posters, the Know Your Rights forms, and the HCO minimum standards information. So I would definitely check it out if you don't have a copy. Now you can sign up for email updates at this link. As a reminder, it's a two-step process. So once you fill out the form, go to your email box and confirm that you have subscribed to receive email updates. That way, once we have a rate increase or change, you will know. We will send out emails periodically, not super often, but at least a couple times per year that has important information about the MCO and the HCAO. So that'll be received in your email box, and you're always welcome to check our website. The website has the most up-to-date and current information. Here's the contact information with our email addresses and phone number for the MCO and HCO unit. The website, www.sfgov.org/OLSE is our main website. Please look under contract labor laws for MCO and HCAO, and you will see that option when you look at the drop-down menu. I've mentioned Patrick Chang, my colleague at the Department of Public Health. He is specifically in the Office of Policy and Planning. This is his contact information. Feel free to ask him questions about the minimum standards and or to have your health plans reviewed. Please keep his emails and information that your health plan is compliant once you receive that at least 3 years after the termination of your lease. With that said, that goes for everything. Your Know Your Rights forms, the posters, notes, and your policy information. Please make sure you keep that on file, and you could put this in the cloud 3 years after the termination of your lease. This is my contact information. I'm Beverly Popek with the Office of Labor Standards. Feel free to email me or call me. Thank you so much for your time, and if you have questions, I look forward to your inquiries. Take care and have a good day.